And so Joe Biden has run his last campaign. There were 12 of them. 12 Biden campaigns beginning in 1972 and ending this week of 2024. 52 years of campaigning. There is no other record like that in American political history. Joe Biden won 6 consecutive elections to the United States Senate, serving 36 years. He then won 2 vice presidential elections. He ran for president 4 times with 1 win. And in his 4th run for president, he withdrew from the race and threw his support to Vice President Kamala Harris. Joe Biden's quest for the presidency began in his 3rd term as a United States Senator when he was 45 years old in 1988.
Today, I announce my candidacy for President of the United States of America.
That first Biden presidential campaign ended when the votes were counted at the Iowa caucus.
I've been here long enough to know that when the tide starts to roll, when things start to move, when things like this begin to happen, it requires all of one's time, energy, and concentration to put it back on track. At the same time, all of my energy and skill is required to deal with President Reagan's effort to reshape the Supreme Court in a way that I truly believe will be harmful for this country. And therefore, it seems to me I have a choice. I have to choose between running for president and doing my job to keep the Supreme Court from moving in a direction that I believe to be truly harmful. There will be other opportunities for me to campaign for president, but there will not be many other opportunities for me to influence President Reagan's choice on the Supreme Court. And although it's awfully clear to me what choice I have to make, I have to tell you honestly, I do it with incredible reluctance. I've concluded that I will stop being a candidate for President of the United States.
Joe Biden knew then that sometime he would be back on the presidential campaign trail, and 20 years later, he let Tim Russert break the news.
Are you running for president?
I am running for president.
Are you filing for exploratory committee?
I'll file an exploratory committee before the month is out.
This month?
This month.
And you're going to take on Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and all other comers?
I'm going to be Joe Biden, and I'm going to try to be the best Biden I can be. If I can, I got a shot. If I can't, I lose.
If I can't, I lose. Once again, the Biden presidential campaign ended the night of the Iowa caucuses, this time after a stunning, world-changing victory by the newest face in the race, Barack Obama.
There's so many of you who've sacrificed for me. I feel so indebted to you. But you know, folks, Jill and I, come on up here with me, Jilly. Jill and I, when we decided to do this, Jill and I decided, when we decided to do this, we decided to do this for the right reasons, folks. You know, the reason to do this, the reason to make the effort that you made is because we really, really, really do believe in this country. We really do. I believe to the bottom of my being in the unmatchable, unlimited potential of the American people. I congratulate them all. I congratulate Barack on such a significant win. He deserves great credit. And let me tell you something. A lot of people said it's a great night to be a Democrat. It's not, but it's also a great night to be me. It's a great night to be me. Because you have invested your faith. You know, I'm always quoting those Irish poets. But it is true. It is true, and I'll end this campaign the way I began it. History teaches us not to hope on this side of the grave. But then once in a lifetime, now, that longed-for tidal wave of justice rises up, and hope and history rhyme. My prayer for you is, my plea to you is, make sure it does. Make sure it does. because we have the capacity. We have the capacity to make hope and history rhyme. And you've given me great hope and great pride. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very much.
Joe Biden was one of the now countless presidential candidates whose presidential campaign ended on the night of the Iowa caucuses. Tonight, he became the first presidential candidate in history to give a withdrawal speech from a campaign that he won, the campaign for the Democratic nomination for president. Joe Biden stands alone on that point in history. Washington established the tradition of presidents serving only 2 terms when he chose not to seek a 3rd term. But George Washington never said that presidents should serve only 2 terms and never believed that. George Washington's later explanations in private letters about not seeking a 3rd term included his belief that politics had become too nasty during his 2nd term for him to seek a 3rd term. And he believed that he probably couldn't win a 3rd term. Yes, George Washington believed that. In George Washington's long-written farewell address, he revealed that 4 years earlier, he began writing a farewell address at the end of his 1st term. But he changed his mind and offered himself as a candidate for re-election to a 2nd term only, he says, because of what he called the then perplexed and critical posture of our affairs with foreign nations. It turns out George Washington and Joe Biden shared that same reason for running for a 2nd term. Obviously, the single most important policy reason Joe Biden thought he should continue in the presidency in a 2nd term is what Washington called the perplexed and critical posture of our affairs with foreign nations. Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Gaza, China. Joe Biden is the best foreign policy president we have had since Franklin Delano Roosevelt led this country to victory in World War II. 2 weeks ago, President Joe Biden delivered the best televised presidential press conference on foreign policy in history. He handled serious questions about the most complex part of the president's job, what Washington called the perplexed and critical posture of our affairs with foreign nations. No president has ever answered such questions with more careful and precise clarity. But that didn't satisfy the critics who wanted Joe Biden to end his presidential campaign. And so the president, who managed the NATO alliance in support of Ukraine with incomparable mastery, went to work managing an orderly transition in a political environment on the verge of chaos. And on Sunday, first with the announcement on social media that he would stop campaigning for president, and second, with the announcement on social media of his endorsement of Kamala Harris, Joe Biden managed the most masterful transition of a presidential campaign from the Biden-Harris campaign to the Harris campaign, a transition the likes of which has never occurred before in history, a transition so fully and overwhelmingly successful that Vice President Kamala Harris had enough delegate votes pledged for the presidential nomination 34 hours later. And tonight, at 8:01 p.m., the President of the United States said this.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition.